¿Cómo les va? Estamos acá listos para transmitir. How are you? ¿Cómo va? Ça va? Bonjour. Hola. ¿Qué tal? Hi. Estamos acá para transmitir. We are here to talk with Luke Boyce. Vamos a hablar con Luke Boyce. Es el director, es el director of Revealer. Es el director de Revealer, que es un film de Shudder. Así que bueno, nada. Estamos esperando que se nos una. A ver, le voy a decir, a ver si está clara también. Eh, Look, a ver si está. Ahí envío. Clarito. Listo. Hi, ¿cómo va? ¿Todo bien? How are you? ¿Qué cuentan, che? Nos vamos ahí. Estamos acá. Estamos esperando a al amigo Luke. A ver si you're here. Tara, ta, ta, ta. Ahí va. Hey, Luke!
Hello,
It's great to see you.
you too.
I've been talking to a lot of people about your film. The problem here in Latin America is that we don't have Shudder, but it doesn't matter. We can get all Shudder films anyway, because that's what true, fans of horror do. They get the movies before. Actually, I have this conversation with a lot of directors. They say, but your film is not in Latin America. How did you watch it? Say, torrent or something like that.
Wait, so you guys don't have where are you again specifically?
Can be Argentina,
In
Latin
Argentina?
America.
You don't have Shutter in
Yeah.
Argentina?
No. I mean,
Oh
no,
man.
but don't worry. A lot of people watch your film anyway. That's the important thing. I mean, because if nobody watched the film, I mean, the idea is, I mean, so
Sure.
again, don't worry. Latin America, there's a lot of horror fans, and actually, a lot of people know Shutter. If they don't, I'm, I'm trying to, promote all these films, and but let's start with you. I mean, who are you? How did you start in in the film business? Let's start from the beginning. You were little. What happened there? What did you want to up to be a horror director?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I've wanted to be a director since I was a little kid. I one of the first things I think the first thing I ever wanted to be was a Disney animator. And then but I quickly I my dad was an artist, so I we used to draw a lot, and I realized that I didn't have the patience to draw to animate. I would have loved to have done it, but I couldn't do it. But I realized, oh well, I can, kind of a similar idea would be to direct, live action, and we had a family camera that we shared, and I used to make movies all the time as a kid. And so, I mean, it's kind of been the only thing I've ever wanted to do, really. And then when after college, well, I kind of did like a weird uh, music thing. I think uh, for about 7 years, maybe, and then I kind of realized I didn't like doing that as much as I liked making movies, so I kind of went back to it. But it almost felt I was married, and almost felt too, I didn't feel like I could go back to school, and I started a business, a commercial video business where I lived, and in order to buy the equipment so that we could make movies, eventually make movies. So make money with commercials, owning the equipment to make movies. And actually we did that right as, I don't know if you're familiar with the Red camera at all. Um,
No.
so the Red camera was like the kind of the watershed moment in digital cinema. The the It was the first digital camera that did 4K, and at the time nobody thought that was really possible. And it was from a company that was from the owner of Oakley Sunglasses started it, and we were on the beta testing list, and so we were one of the first 500 people in the country to own this camera. And we just put a deposit down for the company, and we got the camera. This was back in, I think, the end of 2007, maybe. And because of that, we were one of like only a couple, two or three people in the Midwest. That's where I am, about 2 hours south of Chicago, roughly. Um, we traveled all over with this camera because people wanted to use it. I mean, at that time, 35 millimeter was still the main thing that movies were being made on, and it gave us an opportunity to really network with a lot of other people in the film community. We made a lot of shorts and met a lot of crews, and it kind of helped us build up sort of a family in Chicago, a film family of filmmakers. We just kind of got to know a lot of people, and one of the first people that I ever worked with was a production designer named Sarah Sharp, and she still does production design, but she became a producer as well, and I've worked with her on everything, and she basically helped get Revealer made. She was the person who really spearheaded the whole getting Revealer made, essentially getting it funded and everything like that. So it was a long time to wait. We did a lot of networking, produced a lot of movies for other people because getting money's hard. But yeah, I mean, this is a dream I've had for most of my life to direct. So.
Mm. Oh well, that's great, and something the thing that I love the most about the film is the idea. I mean, because it's a simple idea. You told me that you shoot the film during the quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, he had a lot of experience making films during the quarantine, and it's a very interesting idea. But you execute it in a very minimalistic way, something that proves you can, tell stories with certain complexities without big, a lot of money, and that's great.
Yeah.
You only need the actors, and of course, to induce the idea, because you are inducing that the apocalypse is happening, and these two characters that I like the odd couple in a way. They
Yeah.
face it. You don't show the apocalypse, but
Right.
I mean, and that's a very smart way to you say it's all about imagine what's going on, show it a little, and that's something I appreciate because nowadays people, if big budget films are always trying to show off, they have a lot of money, and when you show too much, it's not. I mean, for me, it doesn't work. You have to use the idea. You have to insinuate, and that's
Yeah.
something that it works here. That was your idea in the beginning, or you just you adapt to the low budget and the quarantine situation?
Both. I mean, I do think that so the whole idea of movies is to hyper relate, right? So we're it's not scary if you don't put yourself in the position, and the more localized something can be, the easier it is for the audience to put themselves in the place of that character. And for me, it's like, if you're stuck in a peep show in an adult bookstore during the apocalypse, you're not going to go outside. And we played with the idea. I mean, we multiple times in the film we said, well, what if we showed this, or what if we just showed this? Like maybe we go outside for a minute, and it never worked because because it is what's called a bottle film. It doesn't work if you leave the POV of your characters. Something that people forget in making movies is that movies have a point of view, and often it's the point of view of your character or someone around your character. And if the character isn't getting to see the apocalypse and you see the apocalypse, it can kind of hurt your suspension of disbelief, your ability to sort of hyper relate. So I mean, we knew that like I love films like this. Like I love bottle films. I love single location films because for me, the better I as a viewer know the environment that this is happening in, the more tension that can get built. It's if I sort of know the map and I kind of know the world and very well. Movies where like everything, like the locations all seem sort of nebulous and almost too big. It's hard. I mean, scale is really important, and I think in the world of sort of big budget CG, where you can show and do everything, you're not meant to show and do everything, right? You actually hurt the audience's ability to hyper relate, and so we did know we had been talking for a long time about making a single location horror film, making something small and hyper, a hyper fixated on a single location. So yeah, I mean, and the money did make a difference. I mean, we didn't have very much money at all, and we have far less of a budget than I think people even realize. It was very, very little because we wrote the film in March of 2020. No, I'm sorry, May of 2020 is when we wrote the film. So we were right in the middle of the quarantine, and we shot it 2 months later. The whole thing was because nobody was working. All films and TV shows had gotten shut down. And there was a small group of people who said, we want to try to do something. And the best way to try to do something is to do it safely and really compact. So we had a skeleton crew who all quarantined together. Nobody left the hotel room or the set. The whole movie is done on a set, a single set. And, that's how we were able to stay safe before there were a lot of rules put out by SAG and DGA. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of both. We wanted to make something like that, but we were also, we also had a lot of parameters we had to work through. So.
And the idea of of the apocalypse, the aesthetics and the aesthetic of the monster remind me. Well, it's difficult to identify a specific influence. I can quote some literary, influences. I can say Stephen King, Clive Barker, regarding the audiovisual. I can think on Carpenter, but what was your ideas, your inspirations for the aesthetic of this apocalypse scenario?
Yeah, I mean, you've nailed a couple. I mean, it's a siege movie, so like Assault on Precinct 13 by John Carpenter or The Thing were definitely two big influences. Evil Dead was a big influence for us. The movie Demons. I'm trying to think some other ones. I mean, we kind of had a lot of different influences. I mean, really, like even non-horror stuff. There's a great movie by Wim Wenders called Paris, Texas, that has cheap shows in them that we used. That's a favorite movie of mine. And when Tim, my writer, said, let's do it in a peep show booth, peep show booths don't really exist anymore, and they haven't in quite a while. At least not in the way that this version has live shows. So Paris, Texas was one that we based a lot of the peep shows on, the booths on, I should say. I'm trying to think what else. There's actually, if you go to Letterboxd, we did an official list of all the influences that I talk about a lot in there, a lot of the different ones. And I caught a bit. Enemy Mine, which the director Wolfgang Peterson just passed away this week. Rest in peace. Yeah, stuff like that. Like a big one for me was From Dusk Till Dawn, because of the dance sequence. I don't know if you remember the movie where Salma Hayek comes out and has a full dance sequence in the movie, and also just in the sense that that's another movie where like starts as one thing and then halfway through the movie becomes something totally different, which is kind of sort of like ours. Like we have, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's kind of two movies in here. There's the Peep Show booth movie, but then the girls escape, down, and it becomes kind of more of a fantasy adventure movie, especially if you watch all the way through the credits. So that was kind of an influence as well.
When they are in the catacombs, the labyrinth, that remind me, the aesthetics also remind me maybe to the more kind of, I know if you watch Hellraiser 2, Hellbound.
Oh yeah,
there's
that was a big one for the ending, Hellraiser 2. I mean, Hellraiser is my favorite horror movie of all time. So, and Asmodeus, the demon, was definitely based on the Cenobites and stuff. Which, speaking, in the chat, I just saw our main actress, Kato AC, is here. Everyone say hi to Kato.
We can invite if you want. We can if you want.
What's that?
We can invite her if you want, so she can tell. Yeah. Let me think.
It's the Helena Handbasket is. She's at work, but she wanted to say hello.
Okay. No, but yeah, the two, all the actors there, Bishop, everyone there are so great. Yeah, and again, so also the idea of the old couple, formula to put two, antagonistic characters, because you put a stripper with a, religious, fanatic, in a peep show together facing the apocalypse. That was your an idea. That was an idea you thought when you were writing the movie. The idea of two opposite characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the core of drama, right? Is two opposing ideas having to be forced. I mean, that's kind of where that The Odd Couple is a great example of just like sort of classic, starting of dramatic structure. So I mean, that was sort of like really that whole idea sort of kind of writes itself in a way. But then like the hard thing is sort of building, three dimensions with each person. I think what makes the movie so great is how, you start off hating Sally, the protester, right away, and very quickly this is like Shayna, for instance, is so great because she's able to make Sally really, horrible at first, but there's like these things that she does where it's not hard to sort of sympathize with her. And so, to take that character that's clearly antagonistic and then become, one of the heroes, someone that you actually really relate to, someone that you actually want to see succeed, is, that's harder to write, and that's even harder to act. So, it's good. And then in terms of like Angie, the great thing about Angie is she's someone who right away you really, really love. But what Kato did so well is, she too has sort of these blinders on that get revealed later, and to make that, to make her sort of be a certain character and sort of still be sympathetic even when she's judging herself, especially when she doesn't have enough time at the end necessarily to even have a bigger arc that you can really build. That is really, really impressive. I mean, I think both girls just do immense amounts of heavy lifting in terms of their acting here and pulling you in, because they're also, the whole movie is on their back. Like you don't leave either person for this entire film. So they also have to just be very watchable, which I think they are. I mean, we were insanely blessed to have both Kato and Shayna, who are both from Chicago, be in this film. So
you are based in Chicago right now?
Yeah, we are. We are all based. Okay. They're in Chicago. I'm south of Chicago, but close enough for it to, yeah.
No, no, I'm asking you because here in Argentina, there's a show that's very popular here. It's called Chicago PD. And for
Yeah.
the images I see, I know it's very cold there. So I don't know when did you shoot the film, but it must be very hard with those low temperatures.
No, it gets hot here. So it gets either really, really cold or really, really hot. So we shot it in August of 2020, and it was hot. I mean, it was really hot. We shot it in a warehouse, and thankfully, the warehouse we were in had some air conditioning. But and I think we had fans running a lot too. But yeah, the summer Illinois summers get really bad sometimes. So
Yeah, you have well, we have the same problem here, but never, it never. Yeah, that's the difference. There was someone asking about your role model or your director, that the most influential director for you as a filmmaker. Who was it in your whole career?
oh, I mean, that's really tough to say. Probably I probably have to say I think it's probably Spielberg, only because um, as a kid, he was the first director that I sort of understood what a director was. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and the early 90s, and he was Spielberg was God. And the first time I ever wanted to be a director was actually I had read a book about like a kid's biography about Steven Spielberg. And so, I knew, you every time there was a Spielberg movie in the theater, you went and you saw it, and you knew that it was him. So it was the first time I really identified style. And then you kind of like I kind of moved away from him. But then as an adult, I kind of revisited several years ago, revisited a lot of his movies and sort of noticed a lot of things about them that I kind of taken for granted growing up with him, and just how much modern cinema is so influenced by him. Um, and just notice how he moves a camera. And there's a few things even in Revealer where, the thing about Spielberg that is so amazing is how he blocks the camera with actors. He's just constantly he nobody moves a camera the way Spielberg moves a camera. And I don't know that I necessarily have it down, but it's sort of like, for me, that's like one of my goals as a filmmaker, is to sort of get to that point where I can sort of mimic the dynamics of how he crafts a shot, how he crafts
One
blocking.
shot.
And yeah, it's pretty incredible. And it's funny because Spielberg kind of talks about him being styleless. Like there's an interview he did where he's jealous of these directors like Scorsese and all these other guys that he thinks have these great styles, and he doesn't have a style. It's actually very much untrue. He actually has a very distinct style. I think nobody else really does it the way he does it. So but I'm a cinephile. I love everything. It's just it's almost impossible for me to pick one director. I love everything from the entire history of the medium.
Well, a lot of what Spielberg does with the camera, with the shots, are taken from Akira Kurosawa. Actually,
Yeah,
Spielberg was a big fan of him. There's very mostly his style resembles a lot to Kurosawa, but that's a great. Oh, by the way, there's going to be an Argentinian film. I think it's right on the States. It's not on Shudder. It's on the other streaming horror service, Screambox. The
oh yeah,
film is called Pussy Cake by
yeah.
a horror director, Pablo Perez. I really recommend that film. I watched it on a big cinema, crowded, and we were all shouting because it's gore, funny. You will love. Trust me when I say this. You are going to love this film. All the people that love your film are going to love it.
I'm
It's
really I Ever since you told me about it, I've been wanting to watch it. And actually, it just was at Popcorn Frights, and I didn't get. I think you could have watched it virtually through popcorn fights as well, and I didn't get a thing, but I need to get around to watching it. It looks amazing. I've heard nothing but great things coming out of popcorn fights as well. So
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you had the chance to watch it in a full crowded cinema, it's an amazing experience. I
nice.
watched it on Buenos Aires Rojo Sangre, is a festival, horror festival from Argentina. Oh, by the way, if you want to send a film or you have a film you want to send to the Festival of Latin America. We are trying to do this cultural horror exchange. So, so a lot of films like yours can be known here and the other way around, right? Because, I mean, we share a lot of, common knowledge, passion in common. That's what happened with the horror community. I mean, you can start talking with people everywhere. It's the same. I mean,
it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, this community is amazing. It's like a big family. I've never met people as wonderful as I have in the horror community. It's just like it's a lot of kind-hearted misfits, and it's kind of it's great. I mean, everyone is just so amazing.
Yeah, tomorrow we are going to talk with Danny Perez.
Nice.
He's quite a character. He's just such a nice guy. He's the director of Anti-Birth. I don't know if you watched that film.
Oh no, which one?
Anti-Birth.
It sounds familiar, but I haven't seen it.
It's a very weird, bizarre experience, but also very lovable experience. If you like those kind of films, well, it's like a very, weird, fucked up, but beautifully made film. And that's what I love about the horror filmmakers. Doesn't matter if they're from Argentina, from Korea, or the States. I mean, they share. Actually, a lot of horror directors, they share the passion for music, rock music, especially metal. I don't know if that's your case.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very similar for even just metal fans that I know. They're just some of the kindest, warm-hearted people I've ever met. I mean, it's so funny because I think that there's a lot of people that don't know or like horror think that people who watch horror are, depraved and awful. But it's the opposite, because I think that horror isn't about celebrating violence or celebrating anything like that. It's about facing it. It's about dealing with it. And it's funny because like a lot of people were so surprised that our film was had a lot of a lot of the reviews were like, oh, it's got a lot of heart. It's like very earnest and it's very and I was like, yeah, of course it is. I mean, to me, that is horror. Horror really is sort of digging deeper. One of the reasons it's such a wonderful and amazing genre is I feel like that's what horror is. Horror does get to the heart of humanity. It is humanistic at its core, and I think that if you grow up on horror, if you watch a lot of horror, that's going to rub off on you, right? Like if that's something that that appeals to you, then I think that's it's a sort of therapy. For a lot of people, I think they use horror as kind of a way to deal and a way to sort of work through trauma, really. So that's going to rub off in good ways. I think it's positive. I think horror is one of the most positive, artistic expression genres that you can have. So.
Also, creatively speaking, it has a lot of nuance, and you have a lot of sub-genres. And like Romero did back then, you can use fantasy horror to talk about social issues that are difficult to talk when you are more realistic genre. If you take, for example, the Nordic horror, we are always organizing lives with directors from different parts of the world just to talk about different films about horror. For example, we can invite you to talk about, I don't know, Asian horror, and then we invite the director. If you want sometimes to come to these talks, you can come and we can comment on, films from other indie horror films. So you can also start meeting these kind of people, because really, we are trying to build that. And of course, if you want to come to Argentina, please Do you know Argentina, Latin America? Have you been to?
I have been to. Let me think. I have been to Honduras. I have been to. Where else? I've been to.
Mexico?
I'm trying to think. I've never been to Argentina. I almost was at Brazil, but my partner went there for a project that we were doing. So, but no, I mean, I would love to. I love it. I I love it a lot. But I honestly, right now, flight costs are insane. I really wanted to come down for um, oh man, what was the name of the we premiered at the festival. Um, I can't think of the name of it. Fantaspoa in Brazil. Um,
Fantaspoa, the Fantaspoa, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
we know.
That's where that was our world premiere was in Fantaspoa, and they I really badly wanted to be there, but it just I mean it was tough with flights and timing and all that other stuff, and then COVID, of course. So yeah,
Mm.
unfortunately.
Here we have horror movies and beyond. Evotres, it's a
Hey,
horror
Vatres,
film from the States.
you okay?
We
I
have
love
to do a live
I'm
with her. We have to talk about because she has talked with a lot of Argentinian directors,
yes,
Andres Borgi, Demian Rugna, that they are doing amazing things here. So yeah, we can organize something.
yeah.
But yeah,
We
but
had an amazing interview with Eva Trace. It was so good. It was very cathartic.
and tell me, what about your favorite subgenre of horror? Which is the most
Oh,
your favorite?
my favorite subgenre of horror. I really need to give this more thought because I even realized last night how many subgenres there really are. I I kind of think it might be aquatic horror, maybe. I like I love horror
Leviathan?
that takes place in the water, specifically under the water too, which is not a lot of that, but when it's there, I mean anything from Jaws to Leviathan to oh gosh, what else is there? I have a list on Letterboxd of it that I made to try to keep track of it, but I kind of will just watch all of it. I would say it's my favorite only because it's the one subgenre where I don't really care about the plot or anything like that. I'll just watch any horror movie that has anything to do with water.
Really? Well, you can do one. I mean, it's
I
kind
would
of
love
easy
to.
because it's like revealer in the way that you can, if it is a submarine, you can. The problem is you have to build a set. That's the only problem. But
That's all right. We
uh,
did it for Revealer, so it's
okay,
almost
okay,
easier.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And what about your favorite film from outside the States? Do you watch different films from other parts of the world?
Oh yeah, all the time. Oh man, so my favorite foreign film. God, no one has asked me this before. Who? I think it's so right off the bat. So I'm really bad at sort of like conjuring up titles on the spot, but I think right off the bat I would probably say Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky,
Oh,
um,
yes.
who's one of my favorite directors. I love everything Tarkovsky. So that I'm sure I'm forgetting something else, but that's the one that comes to mind right away. But
Mm.
I mean, I just love. Oh yeah, Terrified is awesome. But
I'm
yeah, on
terrified.
Shudder, that's a great film for sure.
You know, Demian has finished his next film. It was financed by Shudder. It's
Oh,
called
nice.
Evil Lurks, and we hope that now they are in how you say post production, and we hope
Sweet.
to watch.
Oh, I'm excited. I didn't know that he had another one come. Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. You have there's also he did an anthology in 2011 with Fabian Forte, another director from here. It's
Oh,
on
okay.
Amazon. I know the English name because in Spanish is maldito sean. That would be like them you, or them. But the Amazon that doesn't allow to put curse words in the title, so they change it to the pre. Yeah, yeah, it was like that. But it's an amazing anthology film they did with another genre director, Fabian Forte, who's amazing. He did a sci-fi film called The Corporation. I will send you then some films so we can discuss
awesome.
and talk. By the way, also the character of Bishop was amazing. I mean, he has a small part, but he is kind of a very cool character. I mean, then he became this kind of a zombie, apocalyptic zombie. By the way, how did you meet the actresses? I mean, where did you meet them?
The actresses, they auditioned. We had a casting director who we got I think we had like 60 some auditions from Chicago mainly. They really needed. I mean, we were almost going to cast a couple people from different states, but at the end we decided to keep it local to Chicago. So they were both actors in the Chicago system, and you know, their tapes just blew me away, both of them. So, you know, we cast them really pretty quickly. It was in the course of 2 weeks. So, and Bishop's only to change theirs. Bishop is a friend of mine. Bishop's been in a lot of he's been in a lot of our other little things that we've done, other movies. He was in Girl on the Third Floor by Travis Stevens, and some shorts that we've done and stuff like that. Slice, the movie Slice, we did with Chance the Rapper. So Bishop's been a longtime friend. Just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. It was kind of like when Ray, the character of Ray in the script, was kind of supposed to be like this kind of gross Italian. But when I read the script, I was just like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel like if you don't give Ray kind of sort of a lovability, then the grossness is just too, the chauvinism basically is almost just too extreme. You gotta kind of have him be this like lovable doofus, but also it's kind of chauvinistic in a way that he doesn't quite realize that he has chauvinistic he is. He's just being the owner of an adult bookstore. So yeah, we've got a comic coming out next month.
Yeah.
And there's a great Ray story in there that I really, really love. So
yeah, the thing about this kind of films, this bottle film, by the way, I love that definition. Because the bottle, like the boat inside the bottle. But the thing is, it really stimulates your imagination, because it forces you as an audience to imagine this world you are not showing. And that's a fantastic thing. And another thing I really appreciate, a rookie mistake that a lot of newcomers directors made all the time, is that they use a lot of dialogue to explain things, but you didn't. And I really appreciate that. But because the more you live to imagination, the more you feel, you imagine, the word you put, all your ideas, fear in that box you have created, that is the movie. That's really amazing, and congratulations for that. I mean, because I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, I really feel like I could never make anything that would be better than what you would have in your head, right? So it's like the potential in your imagination is always going to be far greater than what I can show on screen, certainly at a low budget. So there's a certain element with some things, not all things, but some things, where it's definitely better, that you restrain yourself a little bit. And it's not that we don't show stuff. I mean, as you know, in the credits, we do give you a very big peek of the outside, but we held it. We saved it for the end so that it would sort of be this, once we've left the point of view of the characters, then we get to pull back and show you the world that they just escaped. Or maybe not escaped, as if you've seen the end of the movie that. So Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Jaws thing, right? It's like Jaws is scarier when you don't see him as much. It's the whole
Yeah,
concept of that, basically, or Alien for that matter. You know, the less you see, the scarier it is.
yeah, actually, yeah, especially when you see the expression of the character, and
Right.
quoting Carpenter, one of my favorite films is In the Mouth of Madness. There's a
Oh, I love
scene
that
when
movie.
the girl is reading the description of what Sam Neill's character is seeing in this abyss he is contemplating, and you hear the description and you see the face, but you don't see what he's looking at. And
Yep.
for me, that's perfect. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you have to do, and that requires a lot of skill as a writer because you are hearing a literary description there,
Yeah.
and that's for me. In your opinion, what's the best? What are the tricks to do a good cosmic horror adaptation?
Ooh, wow. That's what are the tricks to do a good cosmic horror adaptation?
Because I think in the Math of Madness, it's a good example of that.
Yeah, it is.
You
It's
know,
one of the best, in my opinion, for sure. I don't know. I mean, you know, the thing is I think we're still experimenting with cosmic horror. I don't. There's a few, like In the Mouth of Madness is a great example, but it's definitely a unique example. I love cosmic horror, but it's hard to do. It's really
yeah.
hard to do. And I think I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's a few examples. I'm trying to think of other ones of good ones, but
There's a movie called The Void and another called The Endless. That's two good examples.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, the Endless. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the
you
Endless is a
use
good
some.
example too of kind of a low budget, not showing
uh,
as much, and kind of restraining yourself. Well, and I think that is a big. I mean, I think the thing with cosmic horror too is cosmic horror is exceptionally in your imagination. I mean, the cosmic horror is about layers and layers and layers of just untold evil and scariness that I think it's like putting it in being really 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 specific and hyper focused in a cosmic horror film is probably the best option you're going to have there. And I think also just sort of like I think what In the Mouth of Madness does so well is it is again like our movie, it's very specifically from the point of view of the character, and it's all about walking the line of madness and reality. And I think
Yeah.
that it's like if you can really make the viewer feel like they're going crazy along with the character, and really effectively, it's John Carpenter's amazing at that. I think that's probably a really big key to it as well.
And now I have to ask you, which director you prefer, Wes Craven or John Carpenter?
Oh, it's a mean question. I mean, it's got to be Carpenter. I mean, I say that reluctantly because I think Wes Craven was an absolute genius. I think he was a master of his craft. I think Carpenter. I think I almost think of Carpenter as the Spielberg of the horror world, in the sense that he made so many entertaining horror films. I mean, I mean, he's kind of like if I'm getting someone into horror, Carpenter's a really good, key to that. I mean, if I can show someone, a few different Carpenter films, I think that's usually it's just his level of entertainment in Halloween. I mean, Halloween basically jump started the slasher as a genre, So you kind of have to give the edge to Carpenter from that alone. But then to have done Halloween and then to have done The Thing, right? And just like just the way he, I don't know, makes so much entertainment effortless He just makes it look easy. That's what it almost makes me mad. The way Carpenter makes things look easy. So
He's a great artist, not only a
yes,
filmmaker, he's a composer, and
yeah.
that's of the thing. A lot of,
I
I
I
mean,
saw him live right before the pandemic. I got to go to one of his concerts, and it was amazing. It's great because Carpenter, he's older and he doesn't give a shit. So like it was great. I remember being there. I was all alone, and because I live south of Chicago, it's usually like a 2.5 hour drive if I want to go to a concert. So things can get late for me. And I remember someone going, yeah, Carpenter comes on right at 8 o'clock on the dot, and he is out the door by 8:30. Like that is that's the show. And he's an older guy, so he doesn't want to stay that long. He started right at 8 o'clock, and by 8:30 we were heading out the door.
no, yeah. I envy you. I wish I could talk with Carpenter. I have a friend who wrote a book about Carpenter, actually,
Oh,
and
nice.
Carpenter. Yeah, and there's a picture with Carpenter with the book, so he could
Nice.
read a book about. I always ask this question to every director: how would you like to be remembered?
Oh man, hey, you're like the Argentinian what's that show? The Actor Studio.
Ah, yes, I know. Yeah, the guy
uh,
with the
yeah, exactly. How would I like to be remembered? Um, I don't know. I think I just like to be remembered. Um, I don't know. I think probably as I think I would like to be remembered as someone who made movies that were earnest, entertaining. Um, that everything. I'd like to be known for making things that were meaningful, um, that had heart. That were earnest and had heart, while also being entertaining. But I'll just take being remembered as, in terms of
It's
anything.
a very interesting thing you say a film with heart because
Mhm.
a lot of people that they don't know genre films, especially low budget, they don't know the difference between something that is an empty shell, like I don't know, a
Right,
Netflix film that they just a
right,
formula and make money, and something with love. I mean, and
right.
when you see a low budget film, even though you see the some defects that are probably production problems due to the low budget,
Yep.
you can feel the love, and that's
Right.
something that only the genre fans, the horror fans, can feel. And I mean, and in the case of the revealer, you can sense that. You can sense. Also, I'm guessing you have a great time, like shooting with the crew and the.
Oh yeah.
I hope.
Oh yeah. No, it was a
Ah,
blast.
really,
I've
really.
never had so much fun in my life. I mean, and that was with us wearing masks and face shields, and I mean, every possible precaution you could take. But we still had a blast. Yeah, everyone was amazing.
Are you still a friend? Did you still get together?
Oh yeah.
The
Oh
crew?
yeah. I mean, I text my both of my actors all the time. We talk all the time. We just got to see each other for a screening a couple weeks ago. We did at the Chicago Comic Con. We did a screening.
Oh,
Because they live in Chicago, and then my writers as well, Tim and Mike.
yeah.
I get to see a lot. We're working on other stuff. So yeah, yeah, and I mean, we really build a family. I mean, everyone loves each other deeply. So we all stay in touch, and we all basically want to work on other stuff together. It's just a matter of as with everything, finding money. That's usually the big issue.
Well, the more people know your film, the easier we'll do. That's why we are doing this. So more
That's
people
right.
in
Well, thank you. Yes.
and oh, by the way, would you do a film in Argentina or Latin America, or
Oh,
if
hell
you have
yeah.
the chance?
Oh, and like
Uh,
in a split second, if we have the opportunity, yeah, 100%, absolutely.
oh, Well, I will take that, and we'll see in the future if we can. Maybe with the director of Terrado of Terrified, Demian, we can. I mean,
Yeah, how is the industry there? I mean, is it good? I mean, how
uh,
a lot of movies get made there now?
in order to do a horror film here, you have to put, from your own pocket because there's not many support to this kind of films. But luckily, we live in a globalized world, and a lot of directors and producers of Latin America that mostly are horror fans, they have found people from, I don't know, different countries, from Europe, from the States, that they are financing. Actually, for example,
Oh, nice.
the last film Demian was financed by Shudder because now everything, we live in a globalized world, and people are starting to appreciate, I know, to see a horror film from another country because there's
Yep.
cultural aspects that you can enjoy. I mean, a horror film in Argentina is not the same as a horror film in Sweden or in
Right.
Thailand. So that's why we are creating this network, because, and by doing that, it's very easy to finance the film and to distribute the film. Because now, Demian is doing this film financed by Shudder. At the same time, I have a friend in Chile, Lucio Rojas, that is going to do a film financed by a production company in Germany. So as you said, it's a family. So the more we know, the more it's easier
Yep.
to do this film.
That's awesome.
If we do something with different directors, well, I'll tell you, and who knows?
Give me a call. Seriously.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Sure.
Well, look, thank you very much. It was
Thank
really
you.
a pleasure. You are always invited to join us in our lives. And if you have a project, if you want to recommend an indie horror film from the States that here we still don't know, or from a friend or wherever, please, or you can do it later.
Sure. I will say, oh, that's tough. Let me think. I'll just say this. It's not out yet, but keep an eye out for a film called Black Mold. It's directed by Black Mold. It's not out yet. Hopefully next year. It's still in post-production, but our post supervisor, a guy named John Pata, directed it, and Kato AC is in it, who played Angie in Revealer. So it's phenomenal. I'm very excited for it. So keep an eye out for that. I don't know where it'll land necessarily, but I know that it's going to be amazing. So yeah, I would say keep an eye out for that one.
I will. Well, thank you very much, and thank you guys for being here. Tell the actors if you want to join us one day, and they are invited. Yeah. The idea is yes. Also your writer team. We can talk about comics, whatever.
Absolutely, we'd love to.
Well, see you. Bye,
see you
people.
later.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.